The Utah Jazz currently sit as the ninth seed in the Western Conference. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, and they have a really fun core. The only problem is how far can this core go? Is Lauri Markkanen the future of this franchise? And is Will Hardy the future coach of this franchise? There's a lot of questions I have for the Utah Jazz fans, and we're going to get into all of those things today. But before we do, guys, I am so close to hitting 600 subscribers, and I'm very grateful for each and every single one of you guys. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy our short/long-term basketball content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get straight into this video. I guess let's start talking about the reason you clicked on this video. Lauri Markkanen. Lauri this season has emerged as a clear favorite for an all-star reserve. Some people say he could have been an all-star starter, but he's averaging 25 points, nearly 9 rebounds, and 2 assists a night on very respectful shooting splits. He has truly been the offensive anchor for this team, and he is definitely responsible for most of these wins. And he's almost had a couple 50-point games this season. The one night he had 49 points against the Rockets at the beginning of, it was actually almost a month ago, it was at the beginning of January. But what I want to know is, how do all these pieces fit together, and is Lauri Markkanen the future of this franchise? I've talked a couple times about this roster buildup and what this franchise is right now and the position that they're in right now. And each time I talk about it, guys, it just seems to get a little bit more confusing for me. And the reason I say that is, like I said in the very beginning of this video, they're a very fun team. And they're a very fun team to watch. But the difference is you have a lot of vets who are go-getters and bucket getters and could be, very useful on teams with championship aspirations. And then you kind of have the younger timeline. You have Lauri Markkanen there, and Colin Sexton there, and Walker Kessler, and Jared Vanderbilt, and Ochai Agbaji. These are all guys who are younger. And then you look at the other half of the roster, and you have more veteran, they know the role players like Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley and Malik Beasley and Kelly Olynyk. Talon Horton Tucker Jr. slowly turning into that and finding his grooves. Rudy Gay, we all know he's been around for what feels like centuries because of what he did in Memphis. This roster, it just has a ton of different pieces, and they need to decide a direction to go in. Now, me personally, where it gets confusing is the fact that it does not seem, in recent history especially, that Utah and the Utah Jazz are the ideal free agent landing spot, which leads me to say that you might have to bottom out and build this thing up through the draft. And you have a brilliant front office duo in Justin Zanuck and Danny Ainge. They've done an amazing job acquiring draft capital throughout these last 18 months, especially with the Rudy and the Donovan trade. You can say the Cavs look great, the Timberwolves not so much. But I guarantee you they're not going to regret having that much draft capital and that many draft assets, because if they're not building it through free agent, they're going to have to make some blockbuster trade with all that capital, or like I said, sit on it and build everything up through the draft. At the beginning of this video, I said that they were 7-3 in their last 10 games, and they sit as the 9th seed, which leads me to believe that they kind of want to be competitive. Do have some bad losses in the last 10 games. They did lose to the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie. It was pretty much like they lost to Kyrie Irving, I'll be honest with you, because dude dropped 48 points on their head, and he looked truthfully unstoppable that night. But they also have strung together some good wins, and I would attest a lot of that to Lauri Markkanen, but also a lot of it to a great young head coach in this league, Will Hardy. I'm really proud of what he's done with this culture. He's kind of made something out of nothing. A lot of people thought the Jazz were just going to bottom out this entire season, but they have been very competitive, and like I said in the beginning, very fun. And if you're a fan of the Utah Jazz, that's something that you've been craving for a long time. I felt like fans of the Utah basketball were getting so bored with how stagnant Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert was. We win 50 or 60 games in the regular season. We go to the playoffs, we choke and lose in the first or the second round in an embarrassing fashion. Obviously, in the bubble, that was probably peak excitement for Utah basketball. You love to just think in that Game 7 against Denver, what would it be like if Mike Conley hit that running three on the left wing. I just remember Donovan Mitchell crumbling on the right half of the court, and Jamal Murray runs over to him and just kind of embraces him and lets him know that everything's going to be okay. And obviously they're both in great situations now, but what about Utah basketball? If I was in charge of this team, I would say it's time to hit I guess you'd call rebuild. You know, now that the trade deadline's coming, we saw we could be competitive with this team, and we see what Lauri does night in and night out. And I'm not saying necessarily that you should tank, but I am saying that you should make everyone except for Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, and then possibly Colin Sexton untouchable. Maybe Jared Vanderbilt as well. But guys, Kelly Olynyk, Malik Beasley, Jordan Clarkson, Rudy Gay, and Mike Conley, you could get first round picks or young talent for any single one of those. I literally promise you, there are teams that would die to have those types of talents and those type of role players and great players on their team, especially because 4 out of the 5 people I just named can shoot the ball from 3 very well and play above average defense. Colin Sexton's only 24 years old, Lauri Markkanen's only 25 years old, and Walker Kessler is an extremely ripe 21 years old. That's what leads me to believe that the rebuild should be focused around them. If you guys are unfamiliar with the third name I'm saying a lot, Walker Kessler, I believe he's truly underrated on both sides of the ball, and he's low-key filling Rudy Gobert's shoes without that giant contract hitched to him. Right now, in only 20 minutes a night, he's averaging 7 points and about 8 rebounds with 2 blocks, guys. 2 blocks. He is truly, honestly, he's impressed me every single night I watch him. Against Toronto last night, I think he finished with 5 or 6 blocks. If you scale his stats up to 36 minutes a night, which I know you can take it with a grain of salt, I really do not like the per 36 stats, but if you do, he's averaging 14 points, 13 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks a night, which is as good or better than what Rudy Gobert was doing for this team. And he seems to be more versatile when you expand him out of 18 feet. You know, when you brought Rudy out, we saw a series like the Clippers and the Jazz in 2021, I believe it was, when Kawhi went down. It could have been 2020. I think it was 2021 when Kawhi and Paul George went down. You see Terrence Mann erupt for like 37 points in Game 6 because they just exposed Rudy Gobert in the entire defensive scheme. I've seen in Walker Kessler's minutes, when he's out on the wing, his feet are much quicker. He's not so lead-footed, and that's something you love to see in your young guys, especially the 7-foot talents that you have down low. I think all in all, the future of this team is Lauri Markkanen, though, to be honest with you. If it means you have to trade Walker Kessler and or Colin Sexton to get someone else in there to get him help, I really do think you should be doing whatever you can to make this man happy. From what I've heard from him, I saw him on the Old Man and the Three a couple months ago, JJ Redick's podcast. I'll pretty much plug that whenever I get the chance. If you guys don't watch JJ's pod, you should definitely check it out. A lot of great insight on a lot of great NBA talents, but that's besides the point. Lauri seemed very happy and content where he's at in Utah. He seemed like the coaching staff is something that he loves. It's not some Jim Boylan like they had back when he was in Chicago. He really likes the franchise. Danny Ainge has done nothing but good things for him. I feel like if you're the Utah Jazz this season, it's a great season to build this chemistry and build this momentum and kind of create a culture. But next year, or maybe even the year after, is when you're going to be looking to do some damage. I really, really hope come the trade deadline, we see some movement of players, whether that's Jordan Clarkson, as fun as he is to watch, or Mike Conley, as great of a leader and a veteran talent and playmaker he is, or if you're moving Rudy Gay, who's a great 3-and-D, obviously he's much slower, but Kelly Olynyk as well, a great 4 that can stretch the floor, and Malik Beasley, someone who can give you 12 to 20 on any given night, 12 to 20 points. I'm not talking 12 points and 20 rebounds. Obviously he's not the best rebounder, but guys, there is just so much veteran talent that they could be cashing in on. And if you're gonna dangle, I don't think it's worth it, basically what I'm saying, to be a 9 or a 10 or an 8 seed just to make the play-in and playoffs and maybe get bounced first round. Obviously basketball is a game of runs and anything's possible, but I think you need to look at the future of this team and not the right now. You've shown that you can do good things with Lauri. You've shown Sexton he's capable of fitting with his roster. Walker Kessler has had a million bright spots. You've shown this team can be fun. You've shown that Will Hardy can coach down the stretch and win big games and keep us cool. But guys, you have to focus on the future. But what do you guys think? Should they keep this fun Utah Jazz team together? Should they cash out and start trading people and moving people at the deadline? Let me know in the comments. If you guys made it all the way through this video, you guys know that I appreciate your support. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Shout out all my Utah Jazz fans. Peace.